That means he has 9 degrees of forward shaft lean at impact now. Why? Because he had a much better dynamic. Today's video, we're going to talk about 4 reasons why golfers, maybe you, scoop, flip, hit behind it, hit it thin, just don't compress the golf ball the way they should. The cause and effects behind these 4 things, and also a little recent lesson as an example on how we improved a particular player. So for those of you that do not know me, and maybe this is your first video of mine you're clicking on, welcome. My name is Valentine. I am a 25-year PGA teaching professional, and I want to be your guide on your journey to better golf. If you want to find out a little bit more about me, check the description below. I have a little bio. Let's get to number 1. So I had a student this week that was dealing with one of those reasons that I had just mentioned. He was really struggling with compressing the golf ball, really flipping the golf club dynamically on the downswing. But again, a lot of things happen because of other things in the sequence of events. So he's not just flipping because he's flipping because of something else. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the before. When he came in, when I originally filmed him, got him on the sports box, took his videos, put him on the sports box, just to show him some of these literal angles that he was producing in his swing. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the after, and I think you'll be pretty surprised. But you'll see here, I'm just going to play it through. His setup was okay overall, backswing pretty good overall, and then everything changed in transition on the downswing. So you can see just how much, let me get back to face on. This looks really good, but you can see just how much that angle, so if you look at the orange block right there, that is the angle between the forearm and the shaft of the club. And you can see how quickly he lost that angle. So he went from here, 100 degrees, to here, 151 degrees at impact. And if you look at the other data point that I have down there, shaft angle face on. So what that is, it's the shaft angle relative to 0 degrees. 0 degrees would be the shaft standing straight up out of the ground. So if we go back to address, he had 7 degrees of shaft lean at address. So his hands were slightly forward of the golf ball. But as he got back to impact, he produced 2 degrees. So he actually went 9 degrees in reverse from where he started. We definitely want the hands ahead of the golf ball at impact, unless we're trying to hit some sort of a specialty shot, but we won't worry about that today. So make sure you stick around to the end, because I am going to show you the after. And it was pretty amazing. Now, I know a lot of you out there deal with this similar cause and effect that he had, but in the meantime, let's talk about this one and 3 others. And what I would like to know is, and I want you to comment below, what is your biggest struggle in this game? I'm going to do a whole series of videos on what you need help with, so I need your help. Comment below, like this video, and I'll get to work on them. So the first reason why you may not get into that good compression-filled impact position where the hands are slightly forward could be as simple as making a setup adjustment. And I'm talking about ball position, and I'm talking about weight distribution. So if your ball position is too far forward in your setup, you're going to have to reach. You're going to have to laterally move in order to move your center of pressure, your center of mass over here to get the hand slightly forward. Most likely you're not going to do that. So ultimately what ends up happening is you get back to the ball and the hands are slightly back. Now, ultimately, this is one of the easiest cause and effects to fix overall, because with all things else equal, we just get our ball position into a better spot, and then dynamically that will change impact. This is definitely something I do see from time to time with players, and yes, in theory, it is easy to make the adjustment by moving the ball position back and keeping everything else equal. That's not always the case, but you may be dealing with a ball position that's just too far forward in your stance, ultimately getting you into this position at impact and not this position at impact. If you think it is the case, play around with that ball position. It just may change your impact. Now, the second piece of the setup puzzle is, where is your pressure at address? So at address, we want to have at least 50-50, if not slightly on the front side. I do see a lot of players that start on their backside at address. So all you're doing there is you're moving your center back when you do that, bringing the low point potentially back, giving you a tougher chance to get back to the ball unless you slide forward, which is going to cause a whole bunch of other issues. Effectively, it is going to dynamically move your ball position forward if you start too far back. The further back I start, the more the ball is forward relative to my center. So that goes back to, ball position has to be in the right spot relative to where your center is and how you are dynamically moving through the swing. So make sure your ball position is good. Here's the caveat to ball position. Everybody is different. Everybody's perfect ball position potentially could be different. One person that walks in this door, it could be very different relative to the next person that walks in this door. So there is no one size fits all in the big picture. It's all geometry, it's all math relative to your swing. So I give you the freedom. Play around with that ball position a little bit. See if that helps out. But definitely make sure that you are balanced 50-50, if not slightly on your front side, your lead side at address. If you are starting back with the irons, you're going to have to compensate somewhere down the line to give yourself a chance to get into this position at impact and reduce your flipping. Let's move on to number 2. The second thing I'm going to talk about today, surprise, surprise, also has to do with the setup, or also has to do with something before you actually swing the golf club. And a little spoiler alert, the fourth reason also has nothing to do with the actual swing as well. So keep watching. You may be surprised at that one. And that one may help you out the most, to be completely honest with you. So let's talk about the grip. The grip is a scary thing for a lot of players. And I'll be honest, I hear this all the time. Players come in, the grip is the root cause of X, Y, and Z in their golf swing, yet they don't want to change the grip. And as I say, well, I don't care, I want to get you better. We have to attack the root cause. Completely can empathize. The grip, and I made a grip adjustment years ago, and it was not easy, but you have to work through it. Making any type of a grip change feels awkward, feels strange. It's not the norm, but also it feels strange dynamically because your wrist angles are in different positions when you change your grip. So it is going to influence the feels that you have dynamically in the swing. And a lot of times when we make adjustments, things don't feel good. Things don't feel good right away because they're different than what you're used to. So how can the grip influence a flip, a scoop, or ultimately just not getting you to compress the golf ball as well as you possibly can, your potential? So if you think about the hands and how they sit, so if I was just to let my arms dangle, very relaxed, my palms are facing each other, nothing crazy, I can wiggle them back and forth, and you can do this little test at home. And you know what? Nothing's really going on. They're just staying more in that neutral position. Now, if I started them too much over here, number one, I have to put them in that position. And if I was to relax them, they're going to turn. Just like the opposite side. If I'm here, if I was to relax these guys, they're going to turn, which is going to influence this dude right here. So how does this affect scooping? How does this affect compression? Well, if your hands are too far, and I'm gonna talk as a right-handed golfer, flip this over for a lefty. If your hands are too far left on the golf club, put your hands right now on the golf club. Turn them extreme to the left. Try to get your hands to go forward now. There is massive resistance over here. You cannot physically get your hands forward. Do you know where your hands want to go? So if I was to relax my hands and arms right now, see how they go back? So if I was to swing here, it's almost like a spring. My hands want to go back. My hands want the club head to beat me to the golf ball before my hands get there. It is so challenging to get the hands forward. Now on the opposite end, and it's interesting, I just had a student recently that had a very strong grip. You know what his impact position looked like? The complete opposite. He could not get the golf ball in the air. He hit the golf ball all over the place. That's not what this video is about, but it's just to prove a point. How your hands sit on that club influences how your arms work and ultimately how your body works. So if you are too far to the left, your hands naturally will want to go back. And if this stuff is making sense as well and you're enjoying it, hit that like button as well. It motivates me to make more of this content. So how can you test this and how can you play around with it? Well, simply put, just get your hands and turn them a little bit more to the right. You may have heard a stronger grip, or what is a strong grip, or a strong grip. A strong grip is just the hands turned more to the right as a right-handed golfer. A weaker grip is hands turned to the left overall. So just turn them slightly right if you're a right-handed player, and the opposite if you are a left-handed player. And play around with this at home. Play around with this in the living room and see how much more forward shaft lean you can get the more to the right your hands are on that club. Now the second piece of this puzzle does pertain. So this is like 2B, I guess you could say. This is something that is so overlooked and it is not talked about in our golf instruction world. And it has everything to do with where this grip sits under your top hand. So I see so many players holding on to the grip like this, where the butt end of the club is not beyond the hand, it's actually in the hand when they close it. So that pinky actually goes on top of that grip. We need the grip to go beyond your hand. And the main reason for this is leverage. And again, this is something I want you to mess around with at home. If I was to swing the golf club and hold it like this, where the pinky is underneath, honestly, I have no stability at the top. So I get this long, flippy swing at the top and ultimately down below. Remember, this club is moving fast. There's a lot of applied forces going on here. You need to be able to withhold those forces. You need to be able to have something to hold against those forces. If I'm holding it here, this club, there is no doubt the speed of the club head is going to outrace how you can hold on to that club and the strength and the stability and the leverage that you're getting at the top of your swing and then dynamically through the golf swing. Make sure the club is here. And if you really struggle with this, maybe the clubs are a little too short for you, or it just could be a comfort thing. You have to get beyond that. You have to get that grip in a better position in your hands. If not, you'll always struggle with this. Did I bore you with the grip stuff? Let's move on to number 3. So the third reason why you may flip the club or just not compress the golf ball the way you should with your irons is more dynamic. It's the way we move our body in the golf swing. It's essentially how we shift our weight in the golf swing. Players that scoop and flip, a lot of players that I see, and that student that I referenced at the beginning of this video, this is exactly what he was struggling with. If you get stuck on your backside, your arms aren't long enough to get here. You are going to have to scoop to get the club head to get to the golf ball. It is the only way that club head will get there if you are stuck on your back side. So we have to have a proper weight shift. Now, I'm gonna do a video. I have a video in the queue on a whole video in the queue on how to create a proper weight shift. So I'm not gonna get too detailed into it today, but I definitely wanna go over at least the basics so you understand why this can happen. So as that club goes off of the golf ball, and I've done videos on this, we have to make sure we're creating a pivot right away. We cannot wait for the club to travel, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna start to drift. As soon as we start to drift, the pressure starts to get on the outside of our trail foot. As soon as that pressure gets on the outside of the trail foot, good luck trying to get onto this side. So we have to have that trail hip rotate in as we're going back. As that happens, more pressure gets into my lead side. I am now in a much better position right now to work up, create extension as I go through, working up as I go through. But where is my center? My center of pressure, my center of mass. I am on this side of the golf ball. That's gonna help me get here. If I am on this side of the golf ball, I have to flip, I have to scoop, I have to do this. So we have to make sure that our sequence of events in the weight shift is good. And like I said, I'm gonna do a full video on the weight shift. So again, make sure you subscribe. And like this video as well, if you're getting something out of it. So our weight shift has to be good, has to be good. And at the end of this video, again, I'm gonna show you the after when I fixed this with that student that I worked with. So let's get on to number 4, probably the most interesting one as well. So the last reason could be the most interesting, and to be honest with you, it could be the most influential out of all of them, and it's your intentions. Intentions carry a lot of weight in terms of what we want to have happen out there. And I'm going to paint a picture here. So if I'm in the woods and I have a tree branch 4 feet in front of me and it's roughly 3 feet off of the ground, we need to hit the golf ball low or else we're going to hit it right into that tree branch. When I flip the club and my hands are behind the ball, what happens to the ball if I actually get the club to it? The ball goes high because we're adding loft to that golf club. But most of the time in that scenario where we have that tree branch in front of us, what do? We get into a position where we take the loft off of the club and we hit the golf ball lower. Our intentions change in that moment. What we're trying to do is flight the ball lower. We're trying to change the loft of the golf club to flight the ball lower. Now, I also understand you could be moving the ball position back, you could be doing other things slightly different than your normal stock setup, but the intentions are all the same. You're trying to get the shaft of the club in the hands in front of the golf ball so you can naturally de-loft that club and flight the ball low. So I want you to practice this on the range. And if you have a home setup, a simulator, and you're able to see flight, you're able to see launch angles, you're able to see dynamic loft. Dynamic loft is the actual loft at impact, the measured loft at impact. And I want you to practice the intentions of hitting it low. So what I mean by that, I put myself in the middle of the fairway here. I honestly have no idea how far this is. It looks like it's about 150-ish. And I have a 7-iron. We'll go with it. So what I want to do here, I am thinking about flighting the ball a little bit lower. So I'm thinking about taking a little bit of loft off of this club. And for this exercise though, I'm not going to change my stock ball position. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to try to create an impact condition where I have less loft. So I'm visualizing that club and the hand staying a little bit more forward through. I'm visualizing myself de-lofting that, and ultimately I'm visualizing myself hitting it below those trees on the horizon out there. And that golf ball certainly came off a lot lower and longer than I normally strike it. Now, my hands, I felt like I was over here a lot more. Why? Because I had the intentions of doing that before I ever hit the golf shot. Practice this, you'll be surprised at, honestly, how effective this is overall. Go to the range right now. Go. There's snow on the ground here, so I'm not going to the range right now. So let's talk about the student that I just had and what we did and how he changed. You're gonna be blown away by the before and after, and you can do this too. So the one on the right was the before, so I will play that again. I played this at the beginning of the video. So what I have here, a couple data points. I have lead wrist angle, which is basically the angle between that lead arm and the shaft right there. Dynamically, it changes dynamically through the swing. And also shaft angle relative to the ground. So if I go back to his setup using this right number over here, this -8, so 0 degrees would be the shaft standing straight up and down. His hands are slightly forward, which creates a negative shaft lean, which is a shaft lean that we're looking for. We're looking for the hands to be slightly forward at address, slightly forward at impact. Again, subject to the specialty shot you're hitting, but majority of shots with the irons, we want the hands to be slightly forward. So the negative number is when the hands are slightly forward. So if you look at the one on the left, this was him after we made the adjustments. Similar numbers, nothing too crazy right there overall. Now, this is when we get into the good stuff, and I'm gonna explain how we did this as well. So as I showed you before, here is his swing. Notice something, he is falling back onto his back leg. Here's his impact position. He's 2 degrees. So he's not negative anymore, he's positive, which means the hands are behind the golf ball. He's adding loft, poor impact conditions. And if you notice, he is on his backside at this point, a little foreshadowing there. Now take a look at this. This was after a couple hours of work. Little different look right here at the top of his golf swing. He actually has more pressure into his lead side. Watch his transition. He is a heck of a lot more into that lead side already. Look at impact now. So if I go back one frame, impact. He's 9 degrees, -9 degrees. That means he has 9 degrees of forward shaft lean at impact now. But why? Why? Because he had a much better dynamic weight shift in his golf swing. The weight shift is such an important piece of this puzzle. But the other thing that I blended in at the end was the intentions of de-lofting the club a little bit at impact, the intentions of hitting a golf ball below a tree branch in front of him. What this did was it blended the technical stuff that we were working on together with just the athletic, visual, kind of artsy stuff that I like to work on with players. Intentions do a lot in our golf swing. And I want to make sure everybody out there has the proper intentions before they hit a golf ball. Last thing I want to show you here, which is really, really cool. So if I go to the above position, and we can just watch the one on the right again, this was his one before, see how he is on his right side as he comes down. Look at where he is now. Much better dynamic motion. What a beautiful impact position right there. You can improve this as well. If you want to keep learning, check out one of these videos above.